Okay, we ready? Thank you everyone for joining us. This is the breakout session titled Guided and Supporting Formerly Incarcerated Students. So I know there is an issue with the Zoom links in Whova. So if this is not what you intended to attend, please leave the session and go back and check the links. They have been updated at this point. But my name is Molly Ash. I'm a program manager with the Regional Consortium and helping to facilitate this conference on the back end. I will be monitoring the chat for you ladies, so you don't need to worry about doing that. But I will go ahead and hand it over. I'm not sure who's kicking us off, but go ahead and get it started.
Thank you, Yes. I'm going to be kicking it off. My name is Geida, and I am the counselor, EOPS counselor at San Diego Mesa College, and I also am the coordinator for the Rising Scholars Program. And we're super excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us to learn a little bit more about a really new and exciting program that we have here at Mesa and at different community colleges around California. And I'm lucky to have Yohany with us too from Grossmont, and she'll introduce herself in a minute. We're going to present to you some information that about our programs for Rising Scholars and Justice Scholars. We're going to give you a little bit of a background on the program, and then we're going to have a student panel. So we'll introduce that student panel to you a little bit later. But right now I'd like to introduce the colleagues that are going to be working with us today. Krystal, next slide.
Hi everyone. Oh, next slide. Okay.
Yeah, and you too. So Krystal is our amazing project assistant. She did not get her photo on our introduction page, but she is here to run the slides and also to answer any questions for you in the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to place them in the chat and we will get to those. She's been working with us now for just a few months. So we welcomed Krystal very excitedly to have her here. And then I'll have Yohany and Ava introduce themselves.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to be presenting today along with Karen. My name is Yohany Corona-Batalona. I am the counselor and the coordinator for our Justice Scholars program, which is under the same umbrella as Rising Scholars. Thank you again.
Hello, everyone. Again, thank you for being here and coming to this session. We appreciate you all. My name is Ava. I'm a Rising Scholars counselor at San Diego Mesa College.
Great. Next slide. So a little bit about our agenda today. After the introduction and the background, we're going to talk about our best practices at both colleges, and then we're going to get into our student panel with where we're going to have questions that we have for the students, and then also if you have questions for our students as well. Next slide. Thank you. So I'd like to give you a little bit of a background on the Rising Scholars Network because it's so new. In 2020, Corrections to College of California merged with the foundation and refined its focus to provide support for students at the California community colleges. San Diego Mesa College in particular started the program around 2018, and we found a need to serve students who were formerly incarcerated. We have this population on campus. There were no resources for this population, so we were really we were meeting with students and figuring out how can we really help these students in a special way, in a way that they need to be assisted, because this is a very unique group of students. And so we started by using EOPS as the area where we would use the special populations, meet with the special population, and they were coming to the EOPS office. And so we decided to designate a counselor to work with this population. And as this happened, we realized that, you know, we did not have funding. We don't have a real formal program, but we decided that we were going to house the program under the EOPS umbrella. And then within that time, we started reconnecting and networking with other resources around the state. And so from the Corrections to College, the Rising Scholars Network became a group of community colleges around the state of California, which are dedicated to opening the opportunity and academic achievement for students who have experienced the criminal justice system. And so within this Rising Scholars Network, we've been able to connect with community colleges all over the state and also community colleges within the region. So not only do we work with our region, but we also work with the colleges around the state. And so this has opened up a huge network for us and really helping us to see what best services and best ways we can provide services to our students. And then so none of us have funding for these programs now. None of the schools have official funding. And so something that we've been doing through our school is writing small grants for foundation grants, associated student grants. The Humanities Institute has provided us with funding. So we've really been searching for ways on campus specifically to receive funding, to assist these students with basic needs, to provide support for books and supplies, meal cards, gas cards, housing resources. And so we're using that a limited amount of money that we have at the moment to assist the students, but the program keeps growing, and which is a good thing. And from that, from all the meetings within the network, within the community college network, AB 417 just recently passed, and I don't know if anyone's heard of AB 417, but Rising Scholars is now a categorically funded program through the community colleges, through the California community colleges. And so that's been really exciting news for all of our programs, because now there will be a chance for us to apply for funding to keep this program funded throughout the colleges. And not to get into too much about the funding and how the funding is going to be working, but there is money that we have to apply for, and up to 50 colleges. It's a $10 million grant, and up to 50 colleges will be applying for that funding. And I feel like this is going to be a huge change and a huge turn for a program that really needs the assistance. And so we're looking forward to, and we're really excited to apply for that funding. Next slide.
So through this program, so the Rising Scholars Network started also a website, which I know Krystal is going to be adding it into the chat. And I really encourage you all to look at this website because it has amazing resources. They've really made a robust website, but also it serves as a directory. It has over 70 plus colleges listed on here, and it's similar to the Project Rebound one, sorry, and the Underground Scholars Network, that they all had a network of programs that were working with each other. It's similar to that. So now we have community colleges that now have programs both on campus or through the jails or prisons. And so through this website, you're able to see all the contact information for all the colleges across the state, where they have programs that exist, what the name of the programs are, because as you can see today, there are different names. Mesa College is called Rising Scholars, our Grossmont program is called Justice Scholars. So this is a way to get us all connected and to know the contact information and the services that are provided. So like I said, some community colleges are just through the jails. Some community colleges do have that on-campus support, and some of them have both. But you can also see the prisons as well. So in the blue icon, as you can see at the bottom, it says prisons with in-person or hybrid college programs. So you're able to identify that as well. And it's a really, like I said, it's really good because this Rising Scholars Network has also provided that space for us to collaborate with each other and really bring the services that our students deserve and need, and work with each other to be able to have that community of support rallying around our students.
And yeah, and just to add on to that real quickly, when a student comes to us, they don't necessarily come from somewhere in San Diego. They may be coming from somewhere outside of the area, right, outside of our region, right? So since we have this information, we can see the schools that they've already attended. So a lot of the students who are taking courses within the prison system, the community colleges that are attached to that have programs, and they have bachelor degree programs in some of those schools. And so the students are doing their bachelor's degree, and then they're released, and then they may be moving to a different area. And the neat thing about that is that they can come to Mesa and take those classes, and they can have credit for those classes that they've already taken, and then we can lead them into a direction where they can maybe transfer somewhere in San Diego. So a lot of the students are moving around from different areas. So that's another really great reason to have this resource for us so that we can connect with the other colleges. And so what we wanted to talk about now that we gave you a little bit of a background, is the fun stuff and some of the best practices and some of the exciting things that we're doing within our program. Again, this program is very new, so bear with us on some of this information. We're all getting this, we just started the program probably back in, like I said, in 2018. And then we had a year of transition, and then we started picking the program back up again, and then the pandemic hit. And so I can go into a little bit more at the next slide and show you a little bit about what we've been doing in our program since we've been back, and also to just give you our mission statement so that you can see what our program is all about. We provide a safe and welcoming space to our students who have been impacted by the justice system or who have been previously incarcerated. They navigate unique obstacles. They have specialized counseling and assistance they may need. We have students who start not even knowing how to turn a computer on, not knowing how to register in a class. And then we have students who have been taking classes within the prison system and are a little bit more savvy about how to register or how to take a college course. So we're working on such a different scale with every single student. And so we want these students to know that they have the specialized counseling, they have the transfer assistance, they have the peer networking, and then the campus and community resources that they have. And a little bit about what we've done as far as other community resources, and as far as, like we were just saying, tying each other to the Rising Scholars Network, is we're also connecting with the four-year schools, the CSUs and the UCs. And so we have like a warm handoff that we can do with our community college students to San Diego State, Project Rebound, and UCSD, the Underground Scholars. And the UC system, it has an amazing Underground Scholar program. So that's a little bit about, you know, the way we can kind of link this all together so that the students are starting somewhere, but they kind of know where they're going to be going, and then they'll have that information and they know the people that they're going to be working with. And so that's our mission really, is to get the student to where they want to go, whether it's to transfer or whether it's to get a vocational degree or whether it's to just update skills. Every student is individual, and so we're meeting the goals of the whole student. We're really meeting the student where they're at. So in addition to doing that, we provide obviously the academic, personal, and career counseling like we would do with any student. We do the referrals, we advocate for students. When we have the funding, we've used it for school supplies, we've used it for bookstore cards. We give them cards to use at the bookstore so that they can purchase books. We have meal cards on campus that we're able to give them cards to use at the cafeteria. They can come into the office and use the computer, use the phone if they need to. But again, like when the pandemic hit and we were doing a lot of face-to-face interaction, we had workshops, we had poetry writing workshops, we had a lot of things starting early on in 2020, and then towards the end of 2019, 2020, and then we were forced to go to Zoom. And so that they are still obviously getting these services, and we are doing everything exactly the same. It's just in a different format. I'm really actually excited to get the students back together, because I think the biggest impact is having the students together, and not just on a screen, but in a room, because they've made such a community of meeting each other, seeing each other on campus, and they know they have this community. So that's a really big piece of the puzzle, and a piece of this program is to really build that community. And so we're pretty proud of that part that we've been doing so far. Next slide, Krystal. So some of the things that we have done, and we were lucky enough to have project assistants like Krystal who put together flyers for us, help us promote information. We did include in the packet for everybody at the end, and the Counselor Resource Center, our Rising Scholars flyer, so that you can, if you need to send this out or hand this out, feel free to distribute this information. Our Rising Scholars program, is our flyer describes the program and some of the services that we offer. It has a contact phone number, we have an email address. Some of the fun things we did over the last year were sending out summer newsletters, creating an Instagram page. We had a welcome back event that was well attended. We do opportunity drawings. We had a fall workshop series that you can see at the bottom here. It's probably hard to read a little bit of this, but we did have a fall workshop series where we did a wellness workshop for students. We had a meditation session. We did transfer workshop assistance. And then we did some basic workshop presentations on just how to use a computer, how to compose an email, how to register for classes. And we called that the online resource toolbox workshop, so that we were able to give students the tools they needed to just enroll in classes, right? Something that we think is just, we take for granted that they know how to do that. But think about somebody who hasn't used a computer maybe in 10 or 20 years and is now coming to school for the first time, and what kinds of classes do they want to take, and how are they going to get into these courses? And so these toolbox workshops are super helpful, and more so when we're able to do it in person, because we're able to get a group together to do those. And we did that mid-semester, like I said, wellness check-in, which was to provide some wellness and some meditation information. And we also joined forces with the associated students, where we did the Reflect, Restore, and Unite Gallery Walk, where we offered the opportunity for staff, faculty, and students to come and create cards, letters, words of encouragement. And we created these cards, and we have now a whole bunch of cards that we're going to send out to students, or to students who are currently incarcerated. So words of encouragement and things that they can hold on to and read, and know that they have the support from the colleges. So when they get out, they have this connection to these colleges that have been reaching out to them. And then coming up in 2 weeks, we're doing a holiday drive-through celebration. And we're going to have lunch. We're going to do some small art projects. Sometimes it's very cathartic to just sit and paint a rock. And I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do, poetry. We're going to take rocks. We're going to just put little words of wisdom on rocks. We're going to spend some time together, socially distanced, of course, and masks and all that. And we're taking all the precautions, but we're going to have that coming up on our campus on the 14th. And then just to point out some of the highlights of our program right now, and it doesn't seem like a lot, we have 22 active students, but we always have students coming in and out, 26 appointments for the semester so far. We had 50 check-ins, and we had students who call us constantly. So we counted up to 50 check-ins. We reach out to students. It's super important to reach out to them right now, especially since, we are still going through the pandemic. We're still online. And then we gave out book grants, and we have 50 $25 meal cards available, and Amazon gift cards that we purchased through our foundation innovation grants through Mesa College. And so that's been the highlight, and I am so appreciative of the programs that have given us the grants that we have applied for. So the Mesa Foundation, the Humanities Institute, and the Associated Students have helped us tremendously with funding to support students, to provide direct student support. And then I think just a little bit of feedback from our students, so that you can see that we had written down some quotes. Thank you so much for this uplifting space. Great job. This was a wonderful event. Some of the things that we did together, I feel great about it. I wanted to say thank you so much. Mindfulness is hard with obstacles in your way. You can be the reason for your own existence. So the students really find connection with each other doing these wellness workshops, and I think it's really important. And I know Ava has a specific student that she worked with who had a journey from Mesa to State, and I don't know if you want to tell a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we had a student who started at least about 7 years ago almost. And I happened to be one of his counselors. And now he has graduated from San Diego State, and now he's a part of the Project Rebound at San Diego State. And when I met with him, he was just so forthcoming with everything that was going on and all the goals and things that he wanted to accomplish and wanted to give back. That was one of the things that he wanted to do is to give back. And he's doing exactly that at San Diego State as a graduate of SDSU and now an alumni, and still giving back in Project Rebound. And there's also one more student that I'm currently working with, and he was incarcerated for about 25 years. And he is so appreciative of everything that we're doing And he sent me an email and it touched my heart. And he said, you know, Ava, thank you for calling me a student. And, you know, giving him that. And he's taken that and running with it. And just so appreciative of the things that we're doing, and just so thankful all the help from all the counselors, myself and Karen and Krystal and everyone in our department. So it's just a privilege. It's a privilege to work with these students, and it's a privilege to give back. And I look forward to working with more of those students.
Thanks, Ava. Yeah, and so now I'd like to give the next 10 minutes or so to Yohany so she can talk to you a little bit about the program that they're doing over at Grossmont College.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Ava, for sharing that too. It's absolutely a privilege to work with our students, and there's so many stories like that of our students and the beauty of seeing them transform. So our program, as I mentioned earlier, it's called Justice Scholars. We're under the same umbrella, and I won't repeat, as you can imagine, we're serving the same students. So a lot of the same services that Karen talked about already are the same services that we provide. So for the purposes of our presentation today, I'll try to give the other side of our services as well to be comprehensive, but our program is a little bit newer than Rising Scholars at Mesa. We started actually right before the pandemic hit. So in spring 2020, right before the pandemic hit, we had just a name. We decided it was going to be Justice Scholars. We really didn't have much other than that. We hadn't even really defined what our program would look like. It was just me as the counselor and the coordinator of the program, and without much funding. So we were starting to fly, what is the saying? Fly the plane, or build the plane as you're flying it. So we received our first student right before the pandemic. That was the one and only student that we had. And through my experience with her, which you're gonna hear more from her today, because we actually have the privilege of having her with us today. She's one of our amazing students. But through supporting her is really where we started to define what our program should look like and what our students need and deserve from our program. So as you can see on the slide, you can see a lot of the different program benefits that we offer. Really, it's just giving everything that they possibly need along the way. So we welcome them into the program. Sometimes our students, as Karen was saying, some of them, have never been in front of the computer, never have used the computer before. So even applying to the college might be a barrier for our students. So really being there along the way, every step of the way, whatever that looks like, we take it individually with each of our students and seeing what it is that they would like support in, and helping them, guide them through each of those steps of the way. So as you can see on our program benefits, so we provide the registration, the application, of course, FAFSA. We try to connect them with scholarships because as you can imagine, the financial aspect of it is an important aspect for our students and is a big need. And of course, the major in the career advising, tailoring it to whatever their life goals are, and really supporting them through that. And if you can go to the next slide. All right. And so, like I said, a lot of our services are the same, but really what I would like to focus on is the other side. So providing the holistic and trauma-informed services. For me, that has been a really crucial and important part of the way that I deliver services. And I know that a lot of our Rising Scholars programs at other community colleges work towards. So really meeting the students where they're at, and really focusing on providing that space, that safe space for them on campus. As Ava was saying with one of the students, just being appreciative of being called a student. And unfortunately, that has been my experience with our students as well, just to feel that they belong, that they're welcomed. As our society, as you know, have been disenfranchised from our society in every aspect. So for our students to know that they are a student and they deserve to be a student, and they've been a student, because most of our students do come with already community college courses, through incarceration. Some of them have not, some of them are starting brand new, but for them to know that they are safe, that they are welcome, and that they are a valued part of our community. So through that, for our program, I think that has been the crucial part, to know that they have a program, that they're just like everybody else. and that we have a name behind them now. And so then to really own that. So since our program started right before the pandemic, and like I mentioned, we only had one student, a lot of our services have been virtual. Most of my students have never met me in person. We only have a handful of students who have met because, you know, the current pandemic, and hopefully next semester we will start to open up a little bit more and we'll be able to provide more space. But we focus on doing that community building. As Karen said, also, it's really important. It's been really crucial. And like I said, through that experience with my first Justice Scholar student, that was one of the things that she was wondering, is there more? Are there more students like me out there? So once we started getting more students, once we started getting our flyer, because we didn't even have a flyer before the pandemic, you can see it on the screen right there. We had our flyer, we have our brochure, we started defining our services, and we started getting the word out. And I think once we did that, and once we started getting more students in, then that community building really became that crucial part of it. So we've been trying to do that through Zoom. Of course, Zoom is not the same as in person, but when you haven't had that in person, and when you haven't had built that community, it really, really was transformational for our students to start seeing each other, to start talking to each other, to have that space, to relate to others. And so we've been doing monthly and bi-monthly workshops through Zoom. And some of them have been just like community building workshops where we're just together, we're just checking in, seeing how things are going. Others have been to connect them to resources. So bringing in speakers of different programs, anything that is tailored to what we are seeing, the current trends that we're seeing with our students, or feedback that I'm receiving from our students. That's usually where we go with our workshops. We also, and of course the wraparound services. That's the other piece that we provide. And like I said, we go individually with each student. Each student situation is unique, of course, and just trying to provide all the basic needs, remove any barriers that might be impeding them at the moment, and like I said, walking them through connecting to those resources, not just saying like, oh yeah, we know of this program over there, but actually, you know, calling with them, actually setting up that meeting, or being there present. Sometimes having that support for our students goes a long way to being there with them and explaining the situation. And it's been a unique year, I'm sure, for everybody with COVID and everything. So for us, it's been really beautiful to see our program grow, to see more and more students coming and joining our program. And really in the first year, to really see our students thrive and see that they became student leaders. We actually, our students became the founders. We had 4 key students. Again, Leslie is one of them, who came together and decided that they did want to do a student club on campus, and they named it the Free Club. It stands for Fighting Recidivism Through Education and Empowerment. And they came up with the mission statement, and they wanted to make it inclusive, not just for formerly incarcerated, for system impacted students, which for those of you who don't know, system impacted can be any student who has been impacted by the criminal justice system, whether they have been incarcerated or not, whether, you know, a family member has been incarcerated, you know, any way that's more of an umbrella term to include more people who have been impacted by the criminal justice system, and anybody interested in criminal justice reform. So they wanted it to be inclusive, and also not to be a club where it's pointed of where they're outing themselves either, right? Because they can be like, oh, that's the Free Club. No, it can be anybody. Anybody can join the cause and be part of it. So it was really, really beautiful to see that process grow and to still be part of it. And the last piece that I'll talk about today, because I know we're getting close to our student panel time. We've seen our program grow each semester since the inception of our program. Each semester our cohort has gotten bigger. Right now we have, our current cohort is the largest cohort. Yeah, we have 32 students who are current with our program and still growing. We just received a phone call from another student. So it's really exciting to see that because not everybody has to join our program, right? On our campus, a lot of our students are running away from that label, you know, that our society has put on them, that is not a good label to usually carry, that carries a lot of shame. And so for our students to own it and to be part of it and to want to be part of our program really goes to show that this space is inclusive, you know, and that it is a safe place for them to be part and want to be part of, and show show the rest of the campus what amazing students they are. So the last piece again is the mentoring program. We did start a peer mentoring program, and we really wanted to create that support with a student who is formerly incarcerated. So for me, it was really important to hire somebody who is formerly incarcerated themselves, somebody who was in the Justice Scholars Program or is in the Justice Scholar Program, who maybe is a little bit ahead of the timeline. They've already, maybe been here for a year, is getting ready to transfer, ready to graduate, and have that peer-to-peer support. Because as we know, research shows that mentee and mentor relationship, especially when they have the shared lived experiences, can really be transformational. And our students, our two peers that we've had the pleasure of having, have been amazing. They've really created that space for our students, and they have paved the way for them. And I know, again, Leslie is one of them, and she'll be able to share a little bit more about her experience later on, but we're really grateful to have that space.
Before we go into the student panel, does anyone have any questions or anything that they would like to ask specifically about any of the programs? No? Okay. So now let's hear from our students. We have an amazing panel of students that Ava will introduce, and we have some questions that we're really going to talk a little bit more about now, their goals, career goals, things that they want to accomplish, where they're headed. So we're super excited to hear from our 4 students. Thank you so much for being here. Ava, I'd like to turn it over to you so you can introduce our students.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. So this is the portion in our presentation. We're going to introduce our amazing student panel. They're just awesome students. And we're just going to have you guys introduce yourselves and just say what's your name, your major, and if you're rising scholars or Justice Scholars student. And anyone can start at this time, any of the students.
Could I go ahead and start?
Yeah, thank you, Roberto.
You're welcome. Well, my name is Roberto Lopez. I'm a Guardian Scholar, sorry. I'm a Justin Scholar at Grossmont. So one of the questions that were, give me 1 second, sorry, I should have been more prepared.
No, it's okay. What's your major, Roberto? We just asked your major right now.
My major social work.
Okay, cool. And then we'll go into the next one, to the next student. Thank you, Roberto.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Leslie Sparza. I'm part of the Justice Scholars at Grossmont, and my major is business administration.
All right. Thank you, Leslie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Albin. I am not sure if I'm a Rising or Justice Scholar, but I'm at Mesa. My degree is civil engineering.
Awesome, Ryan. That's cool. And you are a Rising Scholars at San Diego Mesa College.
There we go.
So thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I think we have Gia.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gia Laurie Blaylock, and my major is child development, and I'm a Rising Scholar from San Diego Mesa College.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, panel. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first question, and anybody again can answer. And the first question, briefly tell us what influenced you to go to college? And anyone can take this question.
I can start it off.
Thank you, Roberto.
You're welcome. Well, what influenced me to go to college was actually me wanting a career and not a job for myself. I grew up in a somewhat good household where well, not my uprising, but as I got into foster care, I had a great foster mom that was big on education. We didn't really understand it coming from where we came from. We weren't too big on school, but as much as she persuaded us to keep going and just follow our dreams, as I got older, I started realizing what life was really all about. And I had to understand that you really can't go far without an education, and that's what's really different about a job and a career is anyone can make a job into a career. I'm not saying that, but if you want, I'm trying to be a social worker. I can't just do that. I have to have an education to get there, so that's what influenced me to get my education.
Awesome, awesome. So you had that foundation, it sounds like, and something that you ran with, like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get that education.
It wasn't really just foundation. It was having a strong mindset too. You know, just having me keep pushing through it, and also just the support that I had along the way.
Awesome, awesome. And it's important to have that support, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Roberto. And again, for the students who are here and the people that are here on the presentation, we will have questions at the conclusion of the questions for the panel. So
I think Ryan was going to answer next. I think I heard him start, and then we can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take it
Oh
away.
yeah, I'll go next.
Okay.
What inspired me to go to school basically was after being incarcerated, and when I got out, I just knew that I had to make some major life changes, or I would probably end up back where I was at. And I just got to a point to where I wanted something better in my life, and I knew the field of work that I was in was a good field, but I didn't really want to work with my body any further. So one of my counselors actually signed me up for school, and just like, you know, told me that I'd be fine, that, you know, so she sort of pushed me in the direction. And that's really why I got into it, to further my career, to end up with the career. So that's pretty much what got me into school.
Awesome, Ryan. So it sounds like it's kind of like Roberto, where you had a mindset of, I don't want to go back to where I was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, my kids, I wanted to show them that, you know, no matter what happens in their lives, no matter, you know, if they end up into some situations that they're not very happy with or proud of, that you could always change it around. So I guess that's probably my biggest motivation in succeeding in obtaining my degree and getting through this all, is showing my kids, you know, that you don't have to stay down when you find yourself down.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Ryan.
You're welcome.
I'll go next. So my story was a little bit different from the other students. The first time I got out, it was kind of like I was angry at life. I was angry at everybody. I was angry at myself. So I'm like, no, like, I'm going to go back, look for my friends, and, you know, do it all over again. But it wasn't until I violated my probation that I went back in, and that's when they introduced the college courses. And then I was like, okay, I'll take them. I mean, what else am I gonna do in here? So I decided to take it, and it wasn't for my two professors that they were like, hey, you know, your college material, you're doing so good. So I was kind of like, oh, okay. So, you know, just for them to inspire me like that, I was like, you know what? Maybe if I do go to college and I do something for myself and I get a career, and then I hustle, and then I can buy myself a car, my dream house, and all that stuff, you know, do things right. So for me, what influenced me was those college courses that were introduced to me while I was incarcerated the second time. Because the first time they had barely started offering them. So they told me I couldn't take them because my release date was close. So yeah, what influenced me was those college courses when they introduced them to me. Just actually taking a course, and even though it was in the facility, it was just the teachers would treat us like college students, like, okay, you know, and like, so just knowing, and then for them to tell me you are college material, you can do this, like, I hope you come and you look for us at Grossmont and we'll be waiting for you. So just all that stuff was the reason why I decided to go to college.
Awesome. And it sounds like too, Leslie, it was someone that believed in you, believed that you can do it, and inspired you to say, you know what, I can do this. And now you're doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, my family was very supportive, and they were just like, oh, well, you know, just come out, work, don't do bad stuff anymore, you know. But they never inspired me to do like something like going to college, you know? Why? Because they're like, oh, you already have a background, you know, everything. It was kind of like, they were always judging me. So even though my family loves me and they wanted the best for me, I felt like I didn't have that type of support from them. And it wasn't until my professors, when I was incarcerated, that they were like, you can do this, you got this, you know, just come and look for us when you get released. And it did take me a year for me to go and email my professor. Her name is Dr. Lopez. So I emailed her, and as soon as she saw that email, it was like 2 minutes later, boom, she called me. And I was like, she was like, yes, come. And I'm like, okay, you know? And then I told her, I'm sorry I took a year, but it's just, I had so much other stuff. I had to figure out how, you know, housing, all that stuff. So it wasn't until I felt I was ready to focus and like actually start college.
Awesome. That's awesome. Dr. Lopez is awesome. Dr. Pearl Lopez.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Gia.
Hi. So what inspired me first was my niece. She was a foster child she still is a foster child, but she was an honor roll student, and I kept telling her, you're going to have to go to college because somebody's going to have to pay, you know, for your housekeeper, because I know you're not going to want to clean, because she hates cleaning. She absolutely hates cleaning. And I kept telling her, look, you're going to have to make a lot of money later on because nobody's going to clean for you, you know? That was one of our little jokes that we had. But I never went to college. So I didn't want to have to dodge that question when she asked me, well, did you ever go to college? You know, like, so that was the first start of me saying, well, you know, if she asked me one of these days, you know, did I ever go to college? I don't want to have to tell her no. So the second reason was I have 2 kids of my own, and they're fairly young. They're only 4 and 7. And if they're going to be anything like me, then they're going to have to see something positive and see something worth seeing, because your children do look up to you and they know what you've been through. They know what you're going through. So what they see, they're going to eventually implement in their life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Gia. It sounds like you and Ryan have that same thing in common. Your children, your kiddos, the ones that you look at every day and they soak up everything you do. So thank you. So we're going to go on to, oh, you're welcome. We're going to go into our second question. And again, at random, you guys can take it. Question number 2. What does it mean to be a rising scholar or just a scholar?
Does anyone want to go first? Or
yeah, I'll start off. I'll start off this time. For me, being a rising scholar means being able to teach as well as learn the extra that comes with past incarceration. And when I mean extra emotion, extra sensitivity, extra loyalty, extra honesty. We're real extra. We have a lot. We feel more, you know. So with me being a rising scholar is not just about learning. It's about teaching as well. And it's about helping you guys to help us.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. Roberto, I think you said you wanted to go?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go now. So me being a Justin Scholar, what that means for me is really making an impact on the individuals that remind me of myself or in similar situations. Another thing of being a Justin Scholar for me is being resilient, you know, and just keep going, you know. And thankfully I had a great counselor like Yohany to help me along my journey, you know, and there's been plenty of times where I wanted to just give up, and she just always went out her way to communicate with me, and I would dodge her, man, like we were playing dodgeball, and she would always come back. And that's really what I feel like being a Justin Scholar is all about, just the impact that they make on us and the impact we can make on them.
Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
I guess I'll go next.
Okay, right.
I guess being a rising scholar to me is just being able to achieve and overcome obstacles and show others along the way that, you know, no matter what your situation is, that there's people there to help. And being somebody who's getting ready to transfer, I'm always there to answer questions, like to people that I know that are just getting out or still incarcerated, trying to get into college, so that when they get out, they have something to look forward to. And I guess being a rising scholar is just being able to be that person to have that that story to tell and be able to explain their pathway that got them through it. So I guess it's just like a pool of knowledge, I guess, being a rising scholar. That's what it is to me.
Thank you, Ryan. I think Leslie.
Yeah. So for me, being a justice scholar means having a second chance, having the opportunity. Not many folks that I know have the opportunity that we get, which is changing our life around, getting a career, getting, you know, school and going to college. Because I know for other people, maybe financially, that's the problem, or whatever it is, they don't have the same opportunity, and I do. So I feel special. I feel like the cool person, like, hey, you know, how many people can say, oh, I was formerly incarcerated and now I'm here in college, you know, and then a few years from now, I'll be a graduate, you know, at a big university or whatever school I'll be going to. So it's just being the future, being the example for my family. And like I always tell Yohany, like, my thing is always like, start from the bottom, now we're here, right? So that's my thing. I always say that in every meetings that we have, like, why? Because we start from the bottom. Yeah, we're formerly incarcerated. You know, we did our time and, you know, we messed up, but what counts is what we're doing now, right? So it's just having the opportunity and being an example, that anybody can do it. It's just you need to want it. You need to have that hunger for, you know, for the change, for going to college and, you know, doing all these accomplishments. Why? Because look at you, like, look at everything you've been through, but look at everything you're doing now. And that, because I know people, and I don't want to look down on them, but I know people that have never been formally incarcerated, or they've never done anything, and they're still not doing anything with their lives. So it's kind of like, you know, so yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Leslie. And it just sounds like everyone has the same kind of thing as that mindset and hungry, and just like how Roberto said, how he has Yohany, and Yohany is like, hey, Roberto, I'm going to find you. I'm going to look for you. You know what I'm saying? Like having that support. And it just brings me to an affirmation of, you never lose. Either you win or you learn, right? So we're just trying
to beat the odds.
Exactly, beating the odds, and that's exactly what you guys are doing. So thank you all for that question, answering those questions. And the last question for everyone, question number 3 is, what's next for you? What are your future goals?
Would anyone like to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Ryan.
What the question is, what's next for you, or what are your goals?
So it's what's next for you and what are your future goals?
Next for me is next fall I'll start at SDSU.
Awesome.
So it's just conquering that next obstacle and getting through that fear of, you know, taking on a big university, you know, and making those networks and those connections there on campus with those who have paved the path before me. So that's my next step in terms of my my schooling. My goals are to get that bachelor's in civil engineering and then just apply that to the field of work that I'm into now at the company that I'm at right now. So that's pretty much my goals right there.
That's cool. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
Oh, so what's next for me is, and my goal is to first, because I just started, this is my first semester. So my first step is getting my associate's degree in child development. Then I will transfer to SDSU to get my bachelor's in child development. But what's next is I want to get as many hours in as I can being a counselor, whether it be volunteer work or regular work or even internship. So I just want to get as many hours as I can. So when I do go in front of the board, I will have enough hours to be able to get it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Leslie, would you like to go?
Sure. So I guess it would be just transfer to San Diego State. That's my dream school since I was younger. But I kind of lost that dream, you know, throughout the years. But now I have that dream again to go to San Diego State because that's where my aunt graduated. And she's the only one like in the whole family that has ever, you know, actually graduated from a 4-year. So yeah, that's my dream school. What else? I want to get a bachelor's in business administration, and then hopefully, like after a few years, I do want to go back for a master's. But I'm still debating if it's going to be business administration.
Proud of each and every one of you guys. And that concludes our awesome, truthful student panel. And we're open for questions.
I think I see a question in the chat from Sandy Gonzalez. How does it work getting a job or going into a profession if you have an incarceration history? Also, how does financial aid work for rising justice scholars? Those are all good questions and could be kind of lengthy getting a job, but we have a link in our conference materials with places that will hire students who have been formerly incarcerated. Also, depending on the actual profession, you can go through the program. Say, you know, for example, you can go through a nursing program. Will you get a job as a nurse? It depends on the felony. It depends on time. It depends on a lot of different things. So those are things that we look at individually with students to make sure that they're going into the right area. And yes, they do get financial aid. Our students are able to apply for the FAFSA. In the past, they were not able to with a certain drug conviction, but now that has changed and you are able to apply and receive financial aid. Yes, and the conference materials are found at the bottom of the breakout screen in the resource menu. And then we also have our link to all of our emails if you have specific questions. If you have students that might be heading over to our programs, like Yohany mentioned, it doesn't have to be someone who is formerly incarcerated, but you know, inclusion meaning that we are working with students who maybe have family members who are impacted by the justice system, or parents or brothers and sisters, or just have a need or an interest in wanting to be part of this program. So definitely reach out to us if you have any more specific questions. We also have an Instagram page and a phone number at the bottom that you can contact us at as well. So I think I saw all the questions. Are there any other questions that I might have missed?
And just to add a little bit to what you said, Karen, for all the rest of the counselors who are here, there is really no clear-cut answer as far as, you know, no, you can absolutely not do that. Yes, you can do this. There is really no clear-cut. I mean, there might be some instances where maybe like, well, maybe being a practicing criminal lawyer might not be something that, but you can still be a lawyer and you can still do advocacy and you can still do policy change. You can do so many things. So there's really no clear cut no for any of our students. We just So I would advise for any counselors who are on here, definitely connect with us, definitely connect with any program in your area to talk to us, and then we can also advise and work with that student individually to get them where they want to be.
And the same with our the Rising Scholars Community Directory that we have. So if a student is going outside of the area, and if we don't have that, they will have answers. And if we don't have answers, they can help us find answers. And, you know, so we do have a good group of professionals and students that can help us if things do arise, because there are little nuances and things that come up. So it's definitely helpful to have that network. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody for coming. Really, really appreciate it. We're really excited to working with these amazing students. Congratulations. Thank you guys so much for joining us, for the students.
Yeah, did you have a
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, for the people that doubt getting licensed, just think of the 3 R's: rehabilitation, resources, and references. Those are the 3 things that you mainly need for trying to get
That's
a job.
how you go on in life. Good. Those are the good 3 R's right there.
Yeah.
Excellent way to end. Thank you, Gia. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Bye. Thank
you
you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.